welcome to Daily Records. I am Tommy Burton, and we are rolling along with Guitar Heroes, and we're going to talk about Mr. Mick Ronson and his work with David Bowie. Today's Daily Record is David Bowie, The Rise and Fall of Ziggy Stardust and the Spiders from Mars, simply called Ziggy Stardust. This was David Bowie's fifth album. It was released on June 16th, 1972. It's widely regarded as a glam rock or even a proto-punk album, and probably one of Bowie's most famous releases. I'm just going to pull out the inner sleeve there, where you can see a good picture of David, as well as Mr. Mick Ronson, the guitar player, our guitar hero in question there. And just widely regarded as one of the great all-time rock albums. I love the memo down there, to be played at maximum volume. And so that describes this album. It was sort of a concept album, and it was produced by David Bowie and Ken Scott. And the band was actually called the Spiders from Mars, and David Bowie kind of took on the persona of Ziggy Stardust. It's a loose concept album, so it's David Bowie sort of became Ziggy Stardust, which was sort of this androgynous rock star who was sort of a medium for extraterrestrial beings. So it had this outer space thing going on. Now there was a tour that followed it, and a lot of you have seen the film of the tour, and David took on the persona of Ziggy Stardust as he took this on a world tour. And so this was a big influence on what became glam rock, particularly in the UK. A lot of sexual exploration, social taboos, that sort of thing. I mean, the idea behind Ziggy is that he was androgynous, so it became sort of as one with David Bowie, and it was a breakthrough album. It was a big hit in the UK. It also was a top 100 album in the US, and it went on to become one of the great albums of all time. Now, this came after Hunky Dory, which a lot of people would argue is a better. Sorry about the bump there. This was. Going back to what I was saying, after Hunky Dory in 71, RCA signed him to a 3-record deal. And of course, Hunky Dory came out, big reviews, positive reviews, but it wasn't big commercially. And so he went right to work almost immediately on Ziggy Stardust. So this is a companion piece to Hunky Dory. Now, he'd already worked on a couple of songs, Moon Age Daydream, Hang On To Yourself, and was working on those songs. He also had some demos of the title track and Lady Stardust, and so he just continued to work on those songs. There's another song he's working on called Rock and Roll Star, which was later shortened to just simply Star, and Soul Love, 5 years. There was a lot of stuff going around, and so he went in and recorded with Ken Scott, the co-producer, and a lot of the tracks were the vocal tracks were first takes. Bowie really kind of had everything down and was able to get across what he wanted to do. And so it made recording relatively easily, but Bowie had a vision about what he wanted. They finished the album up, Suffragette City, which was a hit, Rock and Roll Suicide, and some other tracks around this time that they were working on. Starman is also one of the big songs on this album. And so basically what this is, it's about this rock star Ziggy Stardust, and sort of about his rise and fall, as the title suggests. And so it was sort of like a marriage of music and image and all of these sort of things combined. Now, there was also the legendary Stardust Cowboy that was sort of the inspiration behind the Ziggy Stardust. But the idea was that there was 5 years left on Earth. The Earth had 5 years left, and then this rock and roll messiah Ziggy, he arrives. He wins the hearts of teens. He scares the parents, and he basically, everyone falls in love with him. But he becomes a victim of his own fame, and he dies. And so there's this sort of idea that he's taking on the cause, or taking up the cause of rock and roll, and he's fighting for it, but it eventually is his undoing. But sonically and musically, this album holds up very well. The canned sound of a lot of the guitars, but the guitars are just right there. Now, from what I understand, Mick Ronson used a guitar that was plugged into a 100-watt Marshall amp, and he used a wah-wah pedal. And Bowie played some acoustic rhythm guitar, also some saxophone on this album. But it's just big hooky tunes, which was sort of the hallmark of glam music. And so definitely worthy of the status of being one of the great albums of all time. But one of the great David Bowie albums. So today's Daily Record, David Bowie, Ziggy Stardust, The Rise and Fall of Ziggy Stardust, and The Spiders from Mars. A worthy album to check out. Like, comment, subscribe, share. Follow me on Instagram and Twitter. It's TommyBurton75. I love interacting with you guys. Check out the other channel. And thank you guys so much for watching. We'll see you all tomorrow with another Daily Record.